Deserts might look like endless, lifeless wastelands, but buried beneath the scorching sands are some of the eeriest discoveries ever made. From long-forgotten ghost towns to scary skeletal remains and artifacts that time forgot, the desert doesn't just hide secrets, it hoards them. You never really know what's waiting just below the surface, what bizarre relic lies under your feet, or how it got there in the first place. Here are the 15 creepiest things ever found in the desert. Let's begin our countdown with number 15, the walking whale. Egypt's desert isn't just full of tombs and temples, it's got something even weirder. A whale with legs. Fossils were found in 2016 that belonged to a creature more than 20 meters long, but it wasn't built for water entirely. This whale had legs. And not fake, but real ones. Not stubs, not flippers, but actual limbs meant for walking. And it wasn't a one-off mutation. It was part of an evolutionary moment, a species in the middle of its transition from land to sea. They called it Phyomycetus anubis, but names don't matter when you're staring at bones that rewrite the rules. This wasn't a whale as we know it, it was a predator that dragged itself across ancient shorelines, hunting before it ever dove into the deep. The fact that we found it in the middle of the desert only adds to the strangeness. That stretch of land used to be underwater. Now it's just dust and silence. But the bones, they're still there, proof that nature doesn't always follow the script. Number 14. The Lost Army of Cambyses. Stories of ancient armies disappearing into thin air sound more like myth than history. But in this case, it was the desert that swallowed them whole. Cambyses II, ruler of the Persian Empire, reportedly sent 50,000 men into Egypt to conquer the oracle at Siwa. But as they say, bad luck can do pretty bad things. They never came back. For centuries, people dismissed it as legend until 2009, when archaeologists in the Egyptian desert uncovered artifacts from that very era. Persian weapons, armor fragments, and even human bones were scattered across the dunes where no army should have been. They say, most likely, a sandstorm hit them mid-March, and in the brutal silence of the desert, they were buried alive without battle or enemy. Just nature doing what it does best, erasing. The bodies are still missing in full, but the proof is strong enough to prove that something big happened out there. The desert didn't need a sword to win that fight. It just waited, like it always does, until the sand took over and the army never walked out again. Number 13. Dinosaur fossils in the Gobi Desert. Nothing but silence out there now, but if you rewind far enough, the Gobi Desert was loud. Claw marks in the dirt, tails dragging behind giants, wings flapping over prehistoric trees. It wasn't always a dead space as it is today. It was alive. That's what makes this place so wildly wild. Not just that fossils exist, but that history sits right under your feet. The first dinosaur egg nest ever found came from here. Before that, people didn't even know dinosaurs laid eggs. Since then, bones, skeletons, and full-on graveyards have been pulled from the sand. They're not easy to find, but they're everywhere, like the desert is daring you to look closer. What creeps people out isn't just the bones. It's the idea that this place, this dry, cracked stretch of nothingness, used to be alive. And now, it's buried all of it, quietly, like it's hiding the past on purpose. You walk on sand, but underneath it, that's where time waits. Imagine what else is hiding there. Number 12. Desert breath. At first glance, it looks like something unnatural, maybe even alien. Spiraling cones are carved into the desert, a massive pattern that only makes sense from above. It's not a crop circle, it's art. A project called Desert Breath was built by 3 artists in the Egyptian desert near the Red Sea. From the ground, it's a series of dunes, some carved out, others piled up. But from the sky, it transforms into a hypnotic spiral that stretches over 100,000 square meters. Built in 1997 using only natural materials, it wasn't made to last forever. The artists designed it to decay, slowly fading back into the landscape over time. There's something haunting in that, creating something massive, beautiful, and impermanent in a place where nothing wants to survive. There's no plaque, no fence, no guidepost, just sand. It's still there, though weathered and quiet, like a message scrawled into earth by hands that never expected anyone to read it, and maybe that's the point. Number 11. Ancient rock art of Algeria. In the Tassili Mountains of Algeria, high up in a world stripped of noise and modern clutter, ancient humans left behind stories carved in stone. They didn't use words. They used images, giant murals spread across the rocks, telling tales of a Sahara that once overflowed with life. Giraffes, elephants, herds of cattle, even humanoid figures wearing strange headgear. Some look like hunters. Others, not so easy to explain. What makes it creepy isn't just the age. Some are over 10,000 years old. It's the detail, the scale, the mystery. These weren't quick scratches. These were planned, shaped, and layered with intention. The desert that now stretches endlessly around them used to be green, full of rivers and grasslands. Something changed, and they drew it. You stand in front of those rocks and feel like you're trespassing, like you're reading someone's memories who never meant for you to find them. And once you've seen those figures etched into the cliff, it's hard to shake the feeling that the desert still remembers. Number 10. Racetrack Playa. Death Valley already sounds unforgiving, but Racetrack Playa takes it a step further. Out on this flat, cracked lake bed, the rocks don't sit still. They move. Not while you're watching, of course. They leave behind long trails, evidence of movement across a dry and barren stretch where nothing should be shifting. These stones, some weighing hundreds of pounds, have glided across the playa's surface without human or animal help. For decades, no one could explain it. Then came the answer: no magic, no mystery, just ice. During cold desert nights, a thin layer of water on the playa freezes around the rocks. When the sun rises and winds pick up, the ice breaks and slowly slides, dragging the rocks with it. When the ice melts, all that remains is the trail, a quiet record of movement most people will never witness. It doesn't happen often. It doesn't need to. Even once is enough to unsettle your sense of what a desert can be. Number 9. Giant crocodile fossils. Modern crocs are terrifying, but the monsters of the past make today's reptiles look like toys. In 2016, paleontologists digging on the edge of the Sahara uncovered the fossilized remains of a crocodile that once ruled prehistoric waters. Over 10 meters long, this ancient predator named Macamasaurus rex didn't just lurk in swamps, it hunted in open ocean. Its skull alone stretched longer than a grown man. The teeth, thick, blunt, made for crushing bones. It lived around 130 million years ago, in a time when a sea separated what is now Africa and Europe. This thing didn't chase prey. It devoured anything that crossed its path. Fossils show evidence of powerful jaw force, meaning even armored prey didn't stand much chance. It's not just the size that's unnerving. It's imagining something like that gliding through the water silently before exploding into motion. If that fossil hadn't been found, we'd never believed a crocodile that size even existed. Sometimes it's the desert that keeps the monsters buried, until it's ready to remind us. Number 8. Ancient Egyptian burial boat. Tombs in Egypt usually come with gold, statues, and a whole lot of ceremonies. But this one came with a boat, buried right beside a 5th dynasty tomb. A wooden vessel lay half submerged in desert earth, preserved better than anyone expected. The thing had been there for over 4,000 years, yet parts of the wood held together like it had been crafted yesterday. It wasn't just decorative either. This was a real boat, once built to float. And someone at some point thought it was important enough to send off into the afterlife with the dead. But why? That's the part nobody can quite pin down. Some say it was meant to help the soul travel across the underworld's waters. Others think it was symbolic, a gift or offering. Either way, the message was clear. Whoever was buried there wasn't meant to stay put. Even in death, they had somewhere else to go. And that boat, it was their one-way ticket through the sand. Number 7. Atacama Skeleton. In the desolate remains of a Chilean ghost town, a tiny skeleton was found wrapped in cloth, its head oversized, its body strangely narrow. Discovered in 2003, deep in the Atacama Desert, it immediately sparked rumors of alien life. This wasn't some ancient burial site, it looked off. Its skull was elongated, the bones oddly developed for something so small. Some thought it was a hoax. Others insisted it was proof of extraterrestrial visitors, but once scientists got involved, the mystery only deepened. DNA tests confirmed it was human, likely a premature fetus with rare genetic mutations linked to dwarfism and bone disorders. Yet, even with that answer, something about it just didn't sit right. The way it was buried, the condition of the remains, and the ghost town it was found in all add to its uneasy aura. It's human, but not in a way most people have ever seen. And that's what makes it stick in your mind long after you've looked away. Number 6. The Curtiss P-40 Warhawk. World War II didn't just leave behind ruins in Europe, it left ghosts in the sand. One of them was found in 2012, lying half-buried in the Sahara, a Curtiss P-40 Warhawk, perfectly preserved, untouched for 70 years. It had belonged to Flight Sergeant Dennis Copping, who took off during a mission and never came back. Reports say he veered off course, unaware he was flying deeper into the desert. Another pilot spotted him and tried to signal, but Copping never saw him. His plane eventually ran out of fuel, forcing him to crash land. The wreckage told its own story. He survived the landing. But he didn't make it out. His body was never found. Just a boot, a parachute, and silence. The Sahara doesn't forgive. It swallows time, people, machines, and keeps them still. His fate was sealed not by war but by heat, sand, and isolation. A brutal reminder that even the most advanced war machines are helpless when the desert decides to erase you. Number 5. The Saqqara Sarcophagus Cache. Most discoveries in Egypt come one piece at a time. A tomb here, a statue there. But in 2020, something bigger turned up in Saqqara. Not one sarcophagus, not 10. 27 wooden coffins, perfectly stacked and untouched for over 2,500 years. Each one is sealed, painted, and waiting. Some were so well preserved that the colors still popped against the dust. Inside, they found mummified bodies wrapped in linen, likely priests and elite officials from a forgotten chapter of Egypt's story. These weren't royal burials, they were part of a religious elite. Yet the layout felt ritualistic, almost obsessive. Dozens of sealed tombs hidden beneath layers of earth like someone wanted them to be found. Eventually, alongside the sarcophagi were dozens of statues, jars, and scroll fragments, hinting at lives we know nothing about. The find shook up everything we thought we knew about how non-royal Egyptians were buried, and it raised new questions about how many more secrets Egypt's sands are still keeping locked in their grip. Number 4. The Atacama Giant. High in the dry hills of Chile's Atacama Desert, an enormous figure stares into the sky, etched into the earth, carved into the side of a barren hill. It's not a statue, it's not paint, it's a geoglyph, one of the largest prehistoric human-like figures ever discovered. Measuring over 390 feet tall, the Atacama Giant predates modern tools, modern roads, and even modern memory. Some believe it's a depiction of a god or shaman, a spiritual guardian watching over the desert. Others point to its strange posture and placement, claiming it was used as an astronomical calendar. The figure's arm points toward the moon's position during solstices, suggesting that ancient peoples used it to track time and seasons. Still, that only answers part of the mystery. Why here? Why so large it can only be truly understood from the sky? Even today it stands unexplained, an echo from a civilization long gone, whispering across the sand with no one left to clarify its meaning. Number 3. The 40 Mummy Tomb Maze. Mummies are nothing new in Egypt, but every so often, a find drops that changes everything. In 2019, archaeologists in Minya, Upper Egypt, uncovered a tomb complex unlike anything they'd seen in years. Inside the maze-like burial chamber were 40 mummies, men, women, children, laid out in layers, some with gold-plated masks, others with barely a shroud. This wasn't a royal crypt, it was a private family tomb. Yet the effort poured into preserving the dead, next level. Pottery, jewelry, and burial jars surrounded them, hinting at wealth and ceremony. Some were wrapped in linen that still clung to the body, others lay as skeletons. It was personal, raw, human. But the maze design left experts rattled, twisting paths, dead ends, hidden rooms. It's almost like it was built to confuse, not to protect the dead, but to keep something in, or maybe out. Whatever the truth is, those tombs aren't just burial sites, they're warnings, echoes, and the desert still holds more. We just haven't walked far enough yet. Number 2. The Tunisian Desert Lake. One day there was nothing, just rocks, dust, and heat. The next day there was a lake. That's what happened in the deserts of Tunisia when shepherds stumbled onto a stretch of water that hadn't been there before. No rain, no flood. Just a sudden silent appearance 20 meters deep, big enough to swim in, and no one had a clue how it got there. People called it a miracle. They dove in, took photos, turned it into a weekend getaway. But deserts don't offer gifts without a price. Scientists eventually tested the water and found signs of radiation, no circulation, no filtration, just a stagnant pool collecting whatever seeped up from underground. People kept swimming anyway. That's the unsettling part. When something appears out of nowhere, people want to believe it's a blessing, even when every instinct says it's not. The lake is still there, still glowing under the sun, still unexplained, and the desert, as always, says nothing. Number 1. Fairy Circles of Namibia. Across the Namib Desert, thousands of perfect circles dot the landscape like scars on the earth. They're not man-made, and they don't stay forever, appearing and disappearing across 1,600 kilometers of arid land. For decades, scientists scratched their heads trying to explain them. Some blamed termites. Others thought they were created by underground gases or supernatural forces. But the real answer, it's way more primal. The grass, desperate for survival in one of the driest places on Earth, drains water from the center of the patch, killing off the growth inside so the outer ring can thrive. It's not magic, it's strategy. Evolution at its coldest. These circles aren't art or anomaly, they're proof of how far life will go to stay alive. Still, when you see them in person, perfect and eerie and stretching for miles, they don't feel natural. They feel like a message etched into the ground by something older, smarter, and possibly not human at all. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more awesome content like this. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon in the next one.